Man United set to drop 80 million on a Real Madrid midfielder. Eberechi Eze, a Arsenal player. Quick, is it official or just another twist in the rumors? We'll break it down by the facts. Vinícius says no to an extension at Real. Message to the hierarchy: keep or sell. Napoli have found a stand-in for the injured Lukaku, who takes the scoring load in the league and on the European run. All that and loads more in today's episode. But before we get into it, as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Ready? Let's jump into the latest transfer rumors. Arsenal are on the brink of landing Eberechi Eze. David Ornstein from The Athletic says the Gunners have shaken hands with Crystal Palace on a £68 million transfer. It's a massive sum, but Arsenal weren't about to let this slip and swooped in ahead of Spurs. Eze was basically Tottenham bound, everything lined up, and then Arsenal crashed the party right at the last moment. He's now expected to play one last game for Palace on Thursday against Fredrikstad in the Conference League. After that, it's the medical and a contract signing at the Emirates. Credit goes to sporting director Andrea Berta and vice chairman Tim Lewis, who stole a march on Spurs in the closing stages. Funny enough, Arteta and his scouts only pushed hard after Kai Havertz picked up that early season injury. The team needed fresh options in attack, and they went all in on Eze. The buyout clause ran out earlier this month, but Arsenal still agreed to match the £68 million fee. Eze himself wanted the move and picked the Gunners over Spurs. Fabrizio Romano has already confirmed it. The deal's in place, just personal terms to sort. So Arsenal have ripped one of Palace's biggest talents right out of Tottenham's hands. If all goes smoothly, Eze will be officially announced as a Gunner in a matter of days. Napoli's plans are collapsing right before the season starts. Romelu Lukaku pulled up with a thigh injury in a friendly against Olympiacos on the 14th of August. Scans showed it's serious. He's out for 3 to 4 months, with surgery even on the table. For the team, that means one thing: they need a number 9 now. And suddenly Jamie Vardy pops onto the short list. Sky Sports say the Neapolitans have added him as an emergency option. 38, a free agent, hungry to keep playing, it all lines up. When you've got to plug a hole for a few months without a big outlay, it makes sense. Conte's setup, by the way, fits this to a T. Vertical balls, early darts in behind, classic Vardy at his peak. Yes, age catches up, but at Leicester he adjusted. Less constant pressing, more clever, selective sprints. For Napoli, the key is the clock. Lukaku isn't out for good, so they need a striker who carries the load in autumn and then steps aside. Either a short-term deal or terms that don't cause a headache once the Belgian is back. In that spot, Vardy looks the finisher. A proven goal-getter, a leader who puts away half chances and doesn't fear the pressure. But no one expects a savior, just a stopgap while Lukaku heals. Looks like a fresh installment in the Vinícius contract saga has landed. Talks between the Brazilian and Real, so the reports say, have hit a brick wall. And as per, it all comes down to money. More precisely, 10 million euros. ESPN say Vinícius' side want 20 million a year, plus another 10 million in potential bonuses. But Los Blancos' final offer is a straight 20 million per year, with 0 bonuses. Vinícius' agents didn't take long to say that accepting such an offer simply doesn't make sense. And you can see why. Their client already takes home about 17 million net with bonuses included. So Real are basically offering only 3 million more, which, for a player of his caliber, looks a bit flimsy. Folks, let's take a quick pause so you can tap like or dislike on this video. Any reaction helps. Thanks for the activity. It really helps the channel run. Rather than keep tussling with Real, Vinícius' camp have parked it, and we'll see how 2025/26 plays out. And here's the really interesting bit. Vinícius now has to, no two ways about it, prove he's worth that money. Since Kylian Mbappé arrived, his numbers have dropped, and the Frenchman instantly became the main star and top scorer. All hope now is on Xabi Alonso, who needs to get the Brazilian back to his 2023/24 level, when everyone was talking about him as a Ballon d'Or contender. If Vini turns in another explosive season, it won't just deliver trophies to Real. It'll be his main trump card in the contract talks. What do you think? Is this just the usual agent games to squeeze a bigger deal? Or is it serious, and Vinícius could actually leave Real if his demands aren't met? And is it fair the club won't meet him halfway after Mbappé's arrival? Pop your thoughts in the comments. Manchester United and Chelsea remain at odds over the transfer of Alejandro Garnacho. According to Mail Sport, The Red Devils seek around £50 million, whereas the Blues value the Argentine at a maximum of £30 million. That discrepancy is where negotiations are currently stalling. Notably, Garnacho has already indicated he wants Stamford Bridge. Moreover, he is said to have rejected Bayern and told friends he is waiting for Chelsea to conclude the deal. Personal terms are agreed, the issue is the fee. Fabrizio Romano maintains this is a "here we go" category move. Updates in the media are sparse, yet the process is active behind the scenes, and Chelsea remain confident it will be completed before the window closes. In Manchester, there appears little desire to hold on to him. He did not play the season opener against Arsenal, and competition on the flanks has intensified with the arrivals of Cunha and Mbeumo. The view is that Ruben Amorim does not see a permanent starting role for him. United justify their valuation by noting Garnacho's statistics are comparable to Jamie Gittins, for whom the Blues paid almost £49 million. The logic is straightforward. If that fee was paid for one, why concede on another? Chelsea, however, are not hurrying. The hierarchy have asked the player to wait while they prepare a new round of negotiations. The club understand he will not be an automatic starter, but they need him as an attacking option, especially given his intention to work with Enzo Maresca. The key question remains, who yields? United with £50 million or Chelsea unwilling to go beyond £30 million? Signs point to a deadline day conclusion. Newcastle have landed in a real mess up front. Alexander Isak wants to jump ship to the Scousers, and the Magpies have slapped a £150 million price tag on him. Obviously, that's just a negotiating stance. In the end, they'll let him go for 100 odd. But the Swede has flat out refused to play for the club. Classic stuff, nothing new. Meanwhile, Newcastle are trying to sign Yoane Wissa from Brentford, and there's a snag there too. The Congolese forward has mentally packed his bags. He was apparently promised he could go, but the Bees have dug their heels in. Their logic is solid. They've already sold Mbeumo to Manchester United and don't want to be left without an attack. Until they find a replacement, Wissa isn't going anywhere. So we get a funny situation. Newcastle can't buy Wissa because Brentford are searching for a replacement, and the Magpies themselves don't want to sell Isak until they've bought one. Yet Wissa wasn't initially seen as an alternative to the Swede. Eddie Howe needs both to plug the hole after Callum Wilson's exit. The window shuts in less than 2 weeks, and nothing has shifted. Wissa is angry at being stuck at Brentford. Isak is boycotting Newcastle, and both clubs' hierarchies are standing firm. At Newcastle, by the way, they understand the Bees' position. The situations are similar. Neither club wants to weaken their attack, and both want fair compensation. In short, a classic transfer stalemate. Everyone gets it, but no one wants to blink first. We'll see who blinks first. Time is running out. Chelsea have flicked the switch back to free-spending investor mode and are ready to slap €50 million on the table for Marc Casado. The Blues want to pip West Ham, who are tracking it too but will stretch to €30 million tops. Fair enough. Hard to match Chelsea's financial clout. Casado's a La Masia grad who stepped into Barca's first team last summer and banged out 36 games with 7 goal contributions. The debut year was spot on until a ligament knock took him out for the run-in. Even so, the club rate him sky high, and Hansi Flick has zero interest in letting him go. He sees the 21-year-old No-6 as central to the project. But it all boils down to money. Barca's situation makes €50 million very tempting. A sale would ease the books. The sporting directors know it. Flip side, losing Casado would be a massive hit on the pitch. For the player, it's not simple either. Marc's been at Barcelona since he was a kid and might not fancy leaving the dream club. Around Europe, he's respected, labeled a machine for his work at the base of midfield, breaking up play and flipping defense into attack. At Chelsea, he'd bring balance, screen the backline, and free the creatives ahead. If it goes through, it's a serious upgrade for the Blues. But it hangs on 2 things: how hard up Barca are, and whether Casado fancies swapping home comforts for London. Camavinga to Manchester United? Sounds like a no-way, unreal kind of tale, but it's starting to grow legs. Per Hijacked, United are seriously eyeing up Eduardo and are even set to lodge an €80 million bid. Steep? It is. Yet for a club whose midfield was falling to bits last season, it's not a mad price. Casemiro's not the same, Bruno's covering everything at once, Mount's inconsistent and injury-prone, a clear sign the midfield needs a reboot. That's exactly where Camavinga slots in. Relentless, versatile, with personality. And yes, for all his age, the lad's already stacked with trophies, Champions League minutes, finals, Clásicos, the lot. One snag though, Real aren't likely to part with players like that. He's not nailed on to start every week, but he's almost always involved and actually delivers. So this feels more like interest than a live deal for now. Unless Camavinga starts rocking the boat himself, Perez won't be keen to let him go. But if he fancies a crack at the Premier League, things could get lively. For now, just watch this space and keep an eye on the headlines. It could flip very fast.